This episode is brought to you by the crew over at Dog and Gun Coffee. And if you're listening to this episode on the day of release, which is 26th of November, there's a fair chance that you can head across their website and get yourself a really good deal for Black Friday. Being that it is a Saturday, though, the deals might be different to what they actually were on Black Friday. But I'd say Black Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Cyber Monday, I've got a little bit of inside gossip, and it is that they are having specials on. So head across to the Dog and Gun website and check out what deals they have going on for Black Friday and Cyber Monday. If you're listening to this at a later date, however, you can use the code Bowhunter, that's all in capitals, Bowhunter, and that will get you $10 off of your next order at Dog and Gun Coffee.
Hey there, and welcome to Becoming a Bowhunter. I'm your host, Matty, and join me and our guests as we take the quality of meat back into our own hands, searching the wild for free-ranged animals to harvest as ethically as we can. I interview a variety of specialists from the bow hunting community to help fast-track your journey as a bow hunter. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this chinwag on one of your favorite topics in the world, bow hunting.
Hey team, welcome back. You're in for a bit of a treat today. It's a bit of an interesting layout as to how this podcast came about. It was a Thursday, and I was in desperate need of a podcast for the Saturday, and so I got to my phone and got messaging a whole heap of people, and pretty much these are the first boys to pull through for me. It worked out really well because it was Benny Fensom that I was originally chasing, and so happened that Grant Rand and his brother Cameron Rand all rocked up at his place for a random surprise hangout and hunt, which was really awesome. So I actually got all three of them on the show, and they got out for a little fierce fox hunt, which we get to hear all about during this episode. And I think realistically there's a whole heap of really cool insights. Foxes are something that very cunning animals, obviously, but something that a lot of people love to hunt because they are just such a unique and I think really quite a pretty creature. Quite majestic, right? Like a deer. So, I think there's a lot of really cool insights in this podcast and unfolding how the boys' hunt went that afternoon. Sit back, relax, and enjoy.
I warn you not to.
Alrighty, guys, welcome back to Becoming a Bowhunter. I'm sitting here with Cam Rand. Welcome, mate.
How you going?
And I've got Benny Fensom. Welcome.
Thanks, mate.
And
thanks for having me.
Mr. Grant Rand, the repeat offender.
Yeah, I'm sorry, everyone. I'm back again.
I'll tell you what, between you and James Doomsis, you've pretty much got majority of the podcast done. I think you make up one tenth of my podcast between you two.
Oh, look, we like a yarn. We like sharing a bit of information, me and James. So
it does well. So I found myself in a bit of a predicament, and I've been talking to Benny for quite a while. I've been trying to tee up a podcast with him. And this was going to be the week that it actually happened, but I literally had two podcasts pull out on me last minute. Like I was waiting on the call, and they didn't rock up, which was really unfortunate. But it meant that I got to today or yesterday. I messaged Benny. I said, "Mate, how are you going for today? Can you get in?" He said, "Well, it's really wet, but I've got a lot on, so I'm not sure if we can make it happen. Maybe tomorrow." So I messaged him this morning and said, "Mate, how are we going for tonight?" He said, "Well, I've just been told I've got some surprise visitors coming, so depends on if they're bow hunters or not." And then all of a sudden, the Grantmobile putts on in. Bob, 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 bob. And here he is, eh?
What a stitch up that was.
Yeah. But he worked out all right. So a few little twists and turns, but here we are. Good little podcast to kick us off for the night, I reckon.
Yeah, we got him.
So let's backtrack a little bit. How did it actually come into this turns? Because Cam and Grant, you guys have been on the road down in Victoria, and you've come back past Benny's place. Is that correct?
Yeah. So we're down there working for a couple of days in one of the mines there, and Benny's birthday last week or something like that. And we went, I sent Ben's wife a message and said, hey, we're going to come through next week. You mind if we crash and we'll call in and surprise Benny for his birthday? Because we're sort of pretty much driving past anyway. She goes, yeah, sweet, we'll make it all work. And that was then. Here we are now. And
yeah, good. The rest is history. And you got out for a little hunt this afternoon, but before we get into that, because it was actually quite a success, I actually want to learn a little bit about the other two gentlemen, because, Grant, you talk too much. So, Cam,
you won't get an argument out of me. I'll talk under wet cement with a mouthful of marbles.
Cam, do you talk as much as Grant or what?
Oh, it depends how much I've had to drink, I guess.
Are you a rum boy as well?
Oh, yeah. Rum, beer, wild turkey, any of that stuff, yeah.
Good. And who got into hunting first out of you two?
Grant.
And so he dragged you into it, hey?
Yeah, pretty much. I looked at it and went, oh, yeah, I wouldn't mind trying it. And then I think the old Powerhawk?
Yeah, mate.
Yeah, Powerhawk.
The communal bow.
I was going to say it's the one that's gone through everyone, right?
Yeah,
mate.
He's like, oh, I'm getting a new bow. Here, try this one. So I tried it, and then I think about 6 months later, I brought my own bow, and then just kept upgrading from there.
Has he been as harsh on you as he's been on other mentees?
Yeah. Yeah.
What are you trying to say, Matty?
I just heard a few stories along the way, that's all.
Yeah. Little bit, but I don't know. We sort of have two separate hunting sort of styles, I guess. So
Separate.
He goes one side, I go the other.
What do you mean by that? Like, how's it separate or how's it different?
Well, I'm slow. I just like to go slow, poke along, look. Grant's just a million miles an hour.
Yeah, an aggressive hunter.
So, yeah, very aggressive. But, yeah, I pick me moments. Like, if I've got to move quick on something, I guess I'll move quick. But, yeah, I just like to poke along, I guess.
So you just take a few steps, have a glass, take another few steps, have a glass. Is that sort of your style?
Yeah, I'll sort of, walk up a hill, get to the edge of the scrub, glass around. Oh, yeah, righto. Nothing much there, and then sort of pick me next tree or scrub I want to go to and head on to it, and then do the same thing, look around again, and then make me way up to sort of where I want to go or where I've got to go, and then just, slowly go along and, just keep looking around. Normally,
Somebody pokes his head out.
Yeah, pretty much you're walking along, and where you just looked 5 minutes ago, it's there's something there, so it's worked out good for me so far.
He's making it sound so much less than what he can do.
It's funny. I actually went on a hunt on the weekend, and one of the guys I was with asked me if I've hunted with anyone who's more of an aggressive hunter than I am. Oh no, he said, "What sort of hunter do you think you are?" And I said, "Oh, I'm definitely like an aggressive hunter. I like to get from A to B pretty quickly, and I'll keep my eyes clear while I'm out and about. But also, I usually, especially on this block where we're at, it's a block that I knew very well. I knew where a lot of the animals were going to be. So I was like, look, there's no point slowing down here. I've never seen deer here ever before. Let's hammer and just kind of put the accelerator on. But yeah, when he asked me, he said, what sort of hunter are you? And I said, well, I'd say I'm definitely an aggressive hunter. He said, well, have you met anyone who's more of an aggressive hunter than you? I said, I'd say Grant's probably more aggressive. And I don't know if he's more aggressive or not, but like we had a very similar style of hunt when I was with you versus when I'm everywhere else. So it's kind of always been my approach, and I think it's always worked for me. And I don't know if it's because I'm just like, I'm too fidgety to stay still and go slow like you are, Cam. I just don't know if I don't think I've got enough patience. Like bow hunting takes a lot of patience, and that's just taking it to like the next gear for me. I can't do it.
Yeah.
Would you spot? Would you sit in a stand?
I have done previously. I think I've done it once, and it paid off for me. I shot a chill stag.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I think that's the only time I really sat in the stand. I've sat by dams and sort of that stuff, but not for, the stand. I probably sat in a tree stand for about 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah.
Is where I could sort of sit somewhere for a couple of hours and then I've got to keep moving on here, see what's about. But yeah,
I don't know if that would do my head in. Hey, like, respect for the guys over in America that sit there in the whitetail stands. They'll sit there day after day after day, like on repeat. Right? I just don't know if I could. I don't know if I would enjoy hunting as much if that's what my hunting had to look like. What about you guys?
It's the type of hunting, the location, and the all of the things that go with it for those Yanks to do that style of hunting, because they're only hunting 40-acre blocks, and they're allowed for bait and do those things to bring the deer in. So that may be the only realistic opportunity they get to attack a deer. So I think that's why they do that. Whereas here, I can sit in the tree stand for about 2 hours, and that's only if there's things coming in and out and stuff like that. Otherwise, I climb down, and then normally about 3/4 of the way down, I see something. Back, I should have stayed in the tree stand.
That moment today, mate.
Yeah. That's just I hunt fairly aggressive. It's all up to what you're hunting and what you're doing. Sometimes you have to turn it on, and sometimes you really have to just turn it back and do that real slow, steady approach. And yeah, Cam's real good at that, whereas I'm not good at it. I'm too fidgety. I want a full send.
And so, Benny, what's your background in hunting? How did you get into it?
I'm pretty well self-taught as a hunter, I guess. My uncle was always mad on talking about shooting stuff and fishing and all that sort of stuff. So as a kid, I sort of really revolved around him in that conversation. I just listened because I was so into it, and I had no idea what he was talking about really. And I got a slug gun when I was 6 or 7, I suppose, and that was awesome.
What were the main culprits?
Learned a little bit with that.
We used to chase after cane toads with the air gun. What about you guys?
Yeah, well, that was sort of the beginning of it. But my dad, when I was probably only, I can't remember how old I was. I wasn't old at all. Used to be a willow tree in the corner of my dam out the edge of my house now, and he cut a tree branch off it and tied a bit of fishing line to each end and got me a couple of bits of bamboo, like the tomato stakes, cheap tomato stakes you buy.
Yeah. And
I had this bow and arrow that I was shooting ants with, and I had no idea what it was at the time, but that was before the slug gun. That was before anything. And I couldn't leave it alone, like I just was out there every day trying to do it till I broke it, and then that was the end of it. And then it took me 6 months or 12 months or 6 years to convince him to make me another one. And I ended up on my coming up to my 9th birthday, I'd been mowing lawns. Any lawn I could mow, I'd mow, because I was paying off this bloody compound bow in the local shop in town. And anyway, I had $20 left to pay off it, and Mum, God love her, went and paid the last $20 off it and give it to me for my 9th birthday. So that was so lovely of Mum, and I got this bow and arrow, and that's sort of where where it began, I suppose, as far as a real bow. But it wasn't a real bow. It was, just I can't even remember what brand it was, but I started flinging arrows and I couldn't hit anything at all.
Did you start? You started hunting with it essentially straight away, like you just?
Oh yeah, I tried to shoot anything with it. Yeah. Like it was just anything that moved, I'd try and shoot it. But it was safe as houses. I was never going to hit it, but I tried. And then when I was about 14 or 15, I bought a second-hand golden eagle, and that it had peep sight, and I got a release aid with it, and I still couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. But once I spoke to someone one day that actually showed me how to use this thing, because I had no idea, and then I started to actually hit maybe a 44-gallon drum, I suppose, which I was proud as. I was so happy with that, and yeah, that was awesome. And then it just become more and more of an addiction. And I don't know. I just gravitate to a bow over anything now. Like it's just is what it is.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, the hunt that I went on the weekend, like I took my bow because I don't have any other weapons, but it was pretty much a rifle hunt. And like as much as you're still getting out and you're still hunting to some extent, it really didn't give me as much of a buzz as what it does when I go out with the bow. That's for sure. I took it for the first 2 walks with this because we're going through creek country and stuff. I'm like, if we come across any pigs, they're mine. Like, leave them for me. You guys can have the deer if we come across them. And when it got to us just searching the hills for deer pretty much, and I'd put my bow down by that stage, it really wasn't as riveting. I was like, I'm very happy to take these guys and get them some deer, but it was just, it took away a bit of an element of that excitement that we get from bow hunting, from getting that close and personal. But something you just said, Benny, was how quickly you actually progress once you actually got some good insights. And I think, Grant, you and me in particular have really seen this recently with Rob, because we took him on that hunt a few months ago in June. It was June, and realistically, he's just done pretty much another trip with you, plus gone up to Cayuga for the week, and he's just like jumped miles ahead just from the knowledge bombs that he's kind of got from along the way, and that little bit of a step up from talking to different people, different bow hunters. How quickly he's progressed is just crazy to see. Like, he was missing pigs at 6 meters when we were with him to now knocking pigs over. I think he said 22 or 32 meters was one of his longest shots. I was like, wow, like that's a big change.
And he absolutely pinwheeled that ball too.
Yeah. Just shows what it can do, right? Like, getting that extra bit of knowledge.
Well, that helping hand and sort of what you're doing with the podcast and stuff like that, and putting people in contact to bridge that gap, and the joy of social media and all these other platforms is, you can literally gain years of knowledge by just, picking the right person's brain and doing, learning. Maybe don't, start with, hey, can you take me out and show me everything you know and teach me all your secrets? Because
Show me all your secret spots.
Yeah.
You did that today, didn't you? You just turned up, drink a beer. Yeah, Benny, let's go call a fox. Yeah, okay. All right. Take it to all me honey holes. Yeah.
That part of it comes in swings and roundabouts, and as you progress, you sort of, you associate with other people, and it's a thing that happens over time. That stuff doesn't happen straight away. So
definitely,
that's such a huge thing too. I think, like, being someone that didn't have anyone to teach them from the get-go, you see so much stuff on social media, people with like these beginner bows and all this, and they're asking questions, and you see a lot of people with stupid comments and stuff like that. I mean, anyone out there with some sort of idea and willing to help, I mean, for the 2 seconds it takes to just put a comment on there and just guide them in the right path.
Mm-hmm.
Like Randy said, it takes you leaps and bounds. Like, we all know that. Like, once you get shown the right way to do it, that tiny bit of help can take you so much further, and it takes 1 second to not be an idiot and just help someone. You see, well, as we all know, you see a lot of people making bloody, taking advantage of situations that go left and right. And I found that people that took that 2 minutes to help me when I was starting out, it went leaps and bounds.
Yeah,
so
I think
I'm willing to do that for anyone.
Yeah, I'm much the same. I like some of the Facebook forums you see, and it's not necessarily just the bow hunting forums, just the hunting forums in general. Some of the stuff that gets said there is just horrible. Like, people are just assholes at the end of the day. And it's kind of, I think, where hunting gets a bit of a bad name for itself as well, when you've got those hooligans kind of dropping and leaving comments like that. But something I've always tried to do is give as much time to people that give me the time as well. So when someone comes and asks me questions on my Instagram, for instance, like, I'll always try to get back to people, even if it takes me a week or two. Like, I'll always try to get back to them and try to give them that time of day that they've at least taken to give me the little reach out, because I think it's just really, I got so much help from the start. I'm still getting so much help because of this platform that I've been able to create and use. But it's also then when people come and ask me for that extra bit of help, I'm more than happy to give in that little 2 cents of like, oh man, I did this and it worked really well for me. You should check out or call this guy or whoever it might be. Like, passing on that little extra 2 cents is just so worthwhile.
we might have had a...
Yeah, that all just went real glitchy. We missed the last probably 5 seconds of that.
That's all good. No worries at all. We just had an awkward silence, but that's all right. But yeah, no, I think realistically, I was in a bit of a predicament this week, and the bow hunting community, it delivered when I was in desperate need of some content, and all of a sudden I've got 2 podcasts booked, one for tonight, one for tomorrow night. So it kind of come together pretty quickly, and I think realistically, it is majority of the bow hunting community is willing to help. I think if exactly like you said, Grant, as long as you're not just saying, "Hey, take me out bow hunting with you," like as long as you're just saying, "Hey, mate, I've got some questions. Are you willing to help me out? Like, do you have 2 seconds to to answer these questions?" Or just sending them the actual message and saying, "Hey, mate, what do you do with X, Y, or Z?" And I think most of the time people will get back to you in their own time when they can.
Anyone that's like a decent human will take that little bit of time out to reply, as long as someone's genuinely wanting help, and not just wanting a
handout,
a bloody a miracle, like, oh yeah, can you take me hunting and kill something? Like it's never going to work. Ask someone genuinely, and they'll help you. You build a friendship. You never know where that could lead you.
Mm-hmm.
Just come to Bathurst and meet this bunch of wild fellas.
Yeah, well, that's the friendship between me and Benny was literally just through Spinksy there. We went up to the trophy takers thing, and from there we just hit off like a house on fire. And next minute we're sharing hunts, sharing stories.
Got you. So this is a reasonably recent friendship in a sense. The Bathurst was only 2020.
Yeah, a couple of years back now.
Was it just before COVID?
Just before the spicy flu.
Yeah, so it must have been 2019, was it?
2019, yeah, it must have been.
No, I think 2018, 2019, something like that.
Must have been 2019.
2019, because I was definitely on the scene. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no.
But those things there, like for people that are, on the fence or something like that, those places there are full of people that have a lot of knowledge and are willing to help you. They're probably not going to take you to their secret spots, but they'll give you some advice and pointers in, how to hunt and setups and things like that. And like a lot of them trophy taker guys are guys that aren't really social media influencers, if that makes sense. Like some of them guys are doing stuff just behind the scenes, and if you knew half of it, you'd have a heart attack and shit a chicken. Like some of them guys are just proper hunters and get it done day in, day out, but they're not seeking that.
Don't post it,
One of the biggest influences to me picking up a stick bow to this date, or the only influence, Benny Reef. My deer camp, as I'd call it, go to each year. I'd been hunting with a compound since I obviously was 14, like actually hunting, I suppose. Mm-hmm. And at deer camp, Benny Reef's there with his big Jim longbow, and the deer weren't doing anything. So it was like, well, you want to go calling foxes? I was like, hell yeah, let's go. So he's got his big Jim longbow. I got my compound. I think we called up, I don't know how many foxes. We called up a lot. We didn't get any of them, but we had a great time. And right when we're heading back to the car, he goes, do you want to have a go with this? And I'm like, oh, yeah, I'd love to. But I'm thinking, we've just called this area, like chances of something coming's like next to none. There's just open paddock. So anyway, I've got this longbow in my hand, and it felt so uncomfortable, so light, so wild. I didn't know what I was holding on to. And anyway, he starts calling, and sure enough, this fox comes running. Well, I went to water. I lost me shit, like proper. This fox comes in, probably 15, 18 yards under the fence. I shot just under it, It was so close. I thought I hit it. It was so close. This fox spins around, runs around out in the paddock, goes, have another go. So I've knocked an arrow in the split second. It's about 35 metres. I've thunk just over the top of it. Like just missed it again. And anyway, I was in my element. Like I was on 9, and I said to him, I said, that's it, I'm done. And he goes, what do you mean? I said, I'm selling my compound. I'm finished. And he goes, nah, you won't. And I said, no, I'm done. Like, this is it. This is me. This is how I want to hunt.
Yeah.
He goes, you won't do that. And I said, no, I'm telling you, this is me. So I straight away didn't know Jack. Always followed his stuff. Always, there was always a bug there eating at me with a stick bow to have a go. And I finally got the opportunity. And straight away I reached out to Jack, and like a legend, he's got back to me and helped me out. And, you know, we hit off with a great friendship as well, and got a stick bow in my hands, and I've never looked back. Like, it just, like, how quick that influence of someone just is. And like, he's off the scenes a bit, Benny, but mate, his influence on me with that has just changed my hunting style. It's turned on a head. You know, I don't own a compound, don't have one in the house now, and I have nothing against. I love it, love compounds, but I'm hooked on the trad stuff now. It's insane.
It's funny because I think bow hunting in general is quite consuming, right? Like it tends to devour people in general, and it's almost like trad hunting is another level of it. Like you get devoured again, you get taken down to the deep dark dark stages. It's something that I'm very intrigued in. It's something I want to get to more. And to be honest, it's something that I get the most reach outs for is people asking to do more podcasts with trad hunters, just wanting more information because, especially here in Australia, like there's just not a whole heap of content being released for that anymore, is there? So I think, getting that stuff, it's just interesting that that's the thing that I probably get requested the most. So how many longbows or trad bows do you have, Benny?
I've only got the one recurve now. I've just currently sold my Black Widow to a mate that wanted to get into the trad hunt as well. Mm-hmm. I got a stalker. Jack and I got 2 twin bows made, and currently it's a great bow. I haven't done too much with it, but I've got it, and I've got a friend of mine's Thunderhorn longbow with me at the moment as well. So it's been a lot of fun as well, and it's lethal. I absolutely love it. He'd be lucky if he gets it back because I shoot it well. Even Randy playing around with it this afternoon, like he's like, man, this bow shoots. I'm like, I don't know what it is, but it just
it's a shooter, eh? It's a shooter.
Yeah.
Randy, you've done a little bit with like a recurve, haven't you?
I have. I think I own 3 recurves. Yeah. So yeah, I've dabbled in it a bit, and I've obviously hanging around Ben and Jack. You get inspired to jump back on and try it, and
especially with bow darts.
Yeah, we're playing a game of bow darts today, man. That is one of the most fun things you can do with your clothes on. Let me tell you.
Explain it. Tell it. How's it go?
Well, Benny's the creator of the game, mate. So I better let him run this one through.
I had my family out long weekend, and all of them not too much. Like none of them are hunters. None of them have shot bow and arrows before, and got a 3D large bore. All seen them. I was like, I've got to come up with a game, you know. I said to them, you ever shot a bow before? No. So I had the 60-pound recurve and the 50-pound longbow in the shed. I was like, yeah, we can come up with something. So I get the spray paint out, draw a ring on the bore. I draw a dot in the centre. I was trying to draw a dartboard. Didn't work. So got a dot in the middle, got a blue triangle at the top of the red dot and a pink triangle at the bottom, and either side's black of the red ring. And then a white ring, obviously the outside of the dartboard on the sort of vitals of the 3D bore.
Yeah.
So the blue triangle's 10, the red centre's 30, pink triangle's 20, the black either side is 5, the ring is 0, and outside the ring is minus 10. And you miss the ball completely, it's minus 15. So then we have a blue square on the rear end of the bore that's out by itself. It's 50 points, but if you miss, it's either minus 10 or minus 15.
How big a square?
And then there's like 2.5 inch by 2.5 inch square.
Okay. Yeah.
And then there's a pink dot in the ear, which is only like inch by inch pink dot, which is 100 points, but obviously it's right at the top of the target. Very risky shot. Yeah, either at -10 or -15 if you miss.
Yeah.
And anyway, we ended up playing this for hours. And I said to the boys this afternoon, pulled up, having a few beers. It's like, do you want to play boat arts? They're like, what's that? Anyway, start playing, and mate, like, it's crazy how fun, how accurate you can get within sort of minutes of playing around with these stick bows, just, trying to score points.
Definitely. No, I love that. That's sick. Actually, a few years ago, I went and bought. Woolies had these little, these little Easter decorations. It was just a foam rabbit. It was like a rabbit, a styrofoam rabbit covered in grass, fake grass. I got a heap of them and took them out to my family's farm and took my recurve out there. And that was the game that I took. I'm like, all right, we're shooting rabbits, and set up rabbits, all these different stages, set up this whole little target, like practice. And no one could pull the bow back, unfortunately. So I didn't really get to play. It was pretty much my own game. But it seemed like it was going to be a lot of fun until we got to that point. But I think that's maybe a good way to get some people into it. Hey, just gamifying it a bit more.
Well, that was the best part with the recurve and longbow. Like my mum, my cousins, everyone was playing, and they were only half drawing the bow. They were drawing the bow to the point where they were comfortable, and yet they all got the hang of hitting the target. Like, I think I got my ass kicked by my whole family. Like, and they've never even shot targets, like never even shot bows before, and it was great fun. Like, and it got them. They were all excited. It was bloody awesome to just get everyone amongst it that
That's
had
so good.
no part of it ever before. Yeah, it was. It was good. So.
What's the end goal? Is there, like, once you hit 300 or something like that?
It's just 5 rounds. So you just play 5 rounds, 3 or 5 rounds, depending on points. We just keep score of the points on our phone. 5
Top score
rounds,
wins.
and top score winner at the end of the round. So, I mean, you could play a million different ways. We just made it up off the spot, but it's bloody lot of fun. Like,
Yeah, I love it. That sounds great. It's a good way to bring some other people into it. Some non-hunters, eh?
Yeah.
That's awesome. So
no, definitely.
let's unfold what happened today a little bit, hey? Let's talk about how the hunt played out for you guys, because you had a bit of luck this afternoon.
Start at the very first
Mr.
call.
Cam.
No, we'll start it at the very first call.
Start at the start.
Cam or Ben can tell this one.
Ben can tell it.
What are you hunting on? Are you hunting just in like some valleys or something, or is it open flat land?
It's sort of just, mellowy, sort of just rolling country, not hilly, sort of just slopey, a lot of creeks, a lot of high grass, just it's all sheep farming and cropping around the area. Yeah. So it's
much deadfall or anything?
Like really, sorry?
Much deadfall, like trees down and stuff like that, or not really?
A little bit, few rocky knobs. Just not heaps of timber, but a little bit. We parked the ute, drove in. I said to the boys, I want to go up here because this is a good spot. Like the wind's good. Check the wind, and I'd been waiting for this wind for a while and holding off on going to this spot for this wind. And sure enough, the boys turn up this afternoon, and the wind's right. So it was just a sign from above to go and give it a go. And first call within it must have been not even 20 seconds. I looked to me right.
It's 10 seconds in.
This fox is coming that quick into my lap. It wasn't funny, and I'm trying to tell the boys, and before I could even tell the boys, this thing is literally jumping on my lap. And I had my longbow leaning against a tree with an arrow on it, but I was like, I won't need it, like normally I always have it in my hand, like just because I do. But I was like, I won't need it. I've got 2 boys here with the compounds, they'll be sweet. This thing all but jumps on my lap, and anyway, I took off before any of us could even do anything, so that was a laugh. And
did you give it a little pat on the way through?
Sorry?
Did you give it a little pat on the way through?
Oh, mate, I dead set nearly had to give a nudge with me boot because I was nearly as scared as him when we locked eyes and she was on.
Yeah, we just locked eyes at like kissing distance.
Yeah, so
he was jumping up and taking the collar out of your hand.
Yeah, so that was a good laugh, good start. We went to the next.
Before we get through, what's the caller that you use?
Scotch Predator caller.
Is it like a Tenterfield whistle sort of thing?
No, so the big
Black
the old looks like a
dill pickle.
You seen that before?
Yeah. I know
The
what you're
caller
talking
I'm saying.
about. Yeah, dill pickle. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I can't even concentrate now.
He's not even thinking about something else. He's all excited.
So that's all I use. That's the only caller I use all the time. I've got a little button whistle in my bino harness, but I whipped it out today. The caller.
Yeah.
For
Never gets old.
We've lost him.
He's on a tangent.
Anyway, I tried the button whistle today for a minute, but I don't use it at all ever. It was only we had these two foxes that Cam stalked in on. This is later in the story that trying to get their attention, they weren't interested. But we were calling like Randy. Well, I think we were both impatient. This is the second stand. He's put his arrow back in his quiver, release ad back in his bino harness, and I was telling him how, because we're at a tree and we had a bit of an opening about probably 30 to 50 metres, but then it's like high grass. And he's like, we haven't got much notice. And I said, well, normally when they'll come out of that, they'll pause. Like when they come out of it into the open, they'll stop and they'll have a look around, and then they're going to come in. If you like give a lip squeak, whatever, depending on how you play the situation, then they'll come in. And he's like, oh, yeah. And I was like, oh, like that, and here's this fox 50 yards right there, standing there looking straight at us after I'm telling him all this, and anyway, we just paused for a second and he sort of lost concentration and I let out a lip squeak. Well, I thought we were busted, but he continued to play the game, and Randy's got another arrow out, put it back on, and, release aid out, and this fox he ended up cutting into the long grass. He knew something was up. Like he caught our movement and he come in behind us, like in the long stuff. We couldn't see him. He would have just picked our scent and took off. But we were so close, just that little bit of just not taking two more minutes, just when the cover's the way it is, just to wait.
Yeah.
And he would have been in serious trouble. But
so tell me about foxes, because I've not really hunted them much at all. Pretty much never really. I've just called one in once and missed the shot, unfortunately. But they're pretty much like most animals. They see you on movement. They're not really good with when you're kind of dead still.
Yeah, the biggest thing is having something to break your background. Like any animal, if you can have a tree or anything that resembles something behind you that you blend into, you can get away with anything as long as you've got something to break your outline. Doesn't have to be a tree, but they will pick your movement like anything, but it's like any animal. If you're just slow movement, like a lot of people say, just watch with your eyes, don't move your head. I move my head all the time calling foxes, but it's just slow movement. And if you are moving your head and all of a sudden a fox is at 20 yards staring straight at you, 9 times out of 10 what I do is I'll lock eyes with him and I'll just have a stare down. 9 times out of 10 a bird will squawk or anything like that. It'll take his concentration away for just 2 seconds. All of a sudden you're ready to roll, a tiny lip squeak. He's like, oh, there is something there. They're only got to come that, they don't have to come any closer, but you get them as close as possible. And then, you either win or you lose.
I guess any movement for them, right, is if they're already hearing something squawking and going, like carrying on over there, they think they're there to see something move, right? That's what they're chasing, essentially, something that's in pain, that's just about to die, so they can go and get a quick feed from whatever it is that's making the call. So it kind of makes sense that if you get away with a little bit of movement, like you do a little bit of movement, you're going to get away with it because they're almost looking for that within the bushes anyway.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely to a degree. Like you can certainly certainly get away with what you think at the right time, but they will also pick you. They're still, right when you think you got them worked out, they'll just go and blow you out of the water because it's like, oh, he's seen me. And it's like, how the hell did he see me? But he did.
Yeah, gotcha.
But my squawker, like I hold my bow and my squawker in my hand, so I got the end of my squawker in my left hand on my riser of my bow, and I squawk with my right hand. So I've got my bow in front of my face, squawker held just the end of it in the palm of my hand, my left hand, and I squawk with my right hand.
Mm-hmm.
And the second I get a fox within sort of 40, 50 metres, I'll normally, if I'm by myself, I'll just drop the squawker because I can drop it, therefore it's at my feet. And that's the best part about them Scotch predator callers is because they blow air in and out, you can use it with your foot. So if you need to just make a squeak, you can just put your foot on it and just squeak. Or normally once they're coming in, I don't make another sound. If they're coming in, I just let them come. I'll just let them come. They'll do their own thing. Once they start to lose a bit of concentration, a simple lip squeak, and they just go, oh, like there it is right there. Yeah. And they'll normally just on a string straight to you. Like it's feels like cheating some days, but you still got to be good enough to put a shot in the right place. So it's
definitely,
I've certainly missed more foxes than I've hit.
The one fox that I called in, it just came in on a string, man. Like it was so quick. We got in this valley and we go, oh, this would probably be a pretty good place to call a fox. And actually what we did see was a big tomcat just over to the side. And I said to my mate, I was with Adam, I was like, Adam, quickly get your whistle out. We'll do a quick call. So he called it. We're watching this area for where the big tomcat was. And all of a sudden up this big valley just comes this fox just like hammering. Like he was, I don't know, he must have been hungry, man. He was just like, sprinting up towards us. Stops within probably 25. I put him at 20. Took my shot and missed him, unfortunately. But just skimmed underneath him, and then he's just gone forever. We're like, damn it. Only chance I've ever had a fox.
That's pretty much the common thing that happens with mate. It all happens so quick. You misjudge the distance, or you shoot over him, you shoot under him. It's I think you end up. Well, I know for myself anyway. I miss more than I end up connecting with.
Yeah,
calling, but God, it's fun.
So
I suck at it, but God, I love doing it.
I know you spot and stalk once a day, Cam, but is that something that you usually do? Or do you usually spot and stalk them? Or do you do a bit of calling yourself?
Oh, we tried calling these two younger foxes, and they just didn't really seem too interested in the squawker. And then, I don't know, Grant grabbed a caller out and tried one, and they sort of looked up and went, oh, yeah, but weren't really coming out of it's pretty wet down here, so they weren't really leaving their dry patch in the sun to come up to where we were hiding. And they're like, oh, they've laid back down. Go try a stalk on them. So I'm all right, yeah, they're down there. So I just slowly went down, put I think it was a gum tree between me and them, and got into probably 30 metres or so, then hopped over there's a bit of a fence there. It's half washed away, but hopped over it and sort of looking around. I couldn't really see where they were because the grass is pretty long. And, yeah, as I was sneaking in, my bow hit a button on my pants and it made like a tick noise. And I seen this ear lift up and this head come up. And I just froze and I'm like, oh, here we go. They're going to run. And bird started making the noise again. He just went back to sleep again. So I'm all right. That's where he is, and sort of took a couple more steps and stood up. And I'm like, oh, yeah, could just make out. I knew there was two of them there. Just could make out the body of one of them. So I just aimed for him, let the arrow go, and absolutely smoked him. And I know there was two there, so I quickly grabbed another arrow to put on because they're young. They sort of sometimes they run or they go, oh, what was that sort of thing? And and I put the other arrow on, and then I hear the boys up in the bush, you bloody tin ass, and carrying on. I'm like, I didn't shoot both of them with the one arrow. I went over there and they're both dead with the one arrow. Yeah, I was like, oh, there's something new. So,
There you go.
Yeah, that was.
I
First,
honestly think it'd be the first and last time I see a double up on a spot and stalk and an arrow with foxes.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it'd be one for the thing. We might have to revisit his name, old tin ass Cam, because he's starting to pull a few rabbits out of the hat there. He might have to become the magician or something like that.
Yeah, maybe.
Rename. But like your preference, Cam, are you usually a caller or are you usually spot and stalk on the foxes?
Probably the call. I've done probably more calling on foxes than spot and stalk. The spot and the calling always sort of
Pulls them in.
Yeah. It goes from a 50-50 to a sort of a 95% chance you're gonna get a shot at it to the wind or something else, blowing your stalk on you. But yeah, I think I've probably shot the majority of my foxes on like getting caught in rather than the spot and stalk.
Yeah. What do you guys look for when you're looking for like a foxy area? When you're going to go and call, what's the sort of thing that dictates what's a good fox area?
Well, Benny's just gone to drain the main vein, but he'd be the man to talk to because I'm a pretty lousy fox caller. I'm a fox stalker, not a caller, because every time I do it either don't work or they come in behind me. So, yeah, and like I even learned a bit today about chasing foxes and where to call and stuff like that, given that it was wet and things as such there. So, like, it changed my perception on how to do it. But, yeah, Benny's the fox man. He lives in the heart of foxes.
So, Benny,
Sorry,
no, that's
so
right. The question was, what kind of dictates a good fox area? Like when you come into a new space, what kind of dictates like, well, this is a place I should call versus over there, 100 meters?
Firstly, I'd say the weather is the biggest dictator of where the foxes are. If it's cold, wet, miserable, I've still called foxes on wet, miserable days, but they're just like us. Like if it's wet and miserable, we hang inside. We don't want to go outside. Like it's just not fun at all. Mm-hmm. Up until this year, I'd had no luck at all calling foxes during winter because I was doing the summer thing, calling first thing in the morning, late in the afternoon when it's cold. When as soon as that cold air of the morning, cold air of the night, and I'm out there trying to call a fox and I'm not seeing anything. I think the day, as far as sunny, if it's warm, if it's been cold, rocks, high rate, elevated ground where they are getting the warmth like any animal, I suppose, wants, out of the wind. Some of the most open paddocks can be some of the best fox calling grounds. That you'd look at it and go, it's open paddock, there's no point calling that. It's some of the best places to call is, you don't have to have thick timber or rock, like thick rocky hills to call foxes at all. Calling foxes this year, I was going out wintertime, so it's -4 in the morning and it's like 2-3 degrees just on dark. Go out in the middle of the day. First time I'd ever done it this year. Go out at 1 o'clock in the day, right when you're, not thinking, I should be out in the paddock. Sun's out, there's a bit of warmth, and I had great success. The weather's the biggest dictator to the ground that you're going to be calling, and all you got to think is where would you be comfortable when the weather the way it is. If it's warm and everything, they're going to be out active and probably trotting around all them nice big flat open paddocks. Looking for a feed, looking for a mouse, looking for frogs. If it's cold and it's a bit windy or, it's been wet, you're going to look for the timbered country where they can get in the logs, get in, in the longer grass, around trees where it's a bit dry, a bit sheltered. That's what I look for. Like today, we called a couple of different areas. It's been very wet, like very wet where I am at the moment. And, as everywhere in New South Wales, I suppose, and Victoria and everywhere else. But I was explaining to the boys, like it was wet, like you're walking along and there's water slushing under your feet. And I'm like, we're not going to call foxes here. Like they're not going to be bedded up here. So, we're sort of wasting our time, but we'll have a go. Anyway, we still had pretty good success in calling and foxes showing up today, but they still, every time the fox turned up, it was from the higher part of the country. It was like from the drier part of where you were. You know, they're not coming from that cold, wet area because, that's my point on it. Every afternoon I go out calling foxes. It's just the first thing I go to is the weather, as to what's going on and where I go next.
It's so interesting you say that. I went on a hunt out at Barraba, which is kind of west north New South Wales, on a pig hunt out there one time. And it was, I can't remember what time of year it was. I think it was like May, maybe. It was like starting to cool up. And we were walking along the side of this. We walked along the whole top edge of this ridge. We came down the bottom of it. We were walking down the bottom edge of this ridge. And as we were walking along the bottom edge, this fox popped out from pretty much the bottom of the edge, ran straight up the hill. I was like, oh, there you go. Walked probably another 200-300 meters. Same thing happened. I was like, is that a coincidence or what? Third time, boom, happened. They're all just at the base of this ridge in the sun, and probably 11 o'clock in the day, just hanging out. It must have just been, it was like reasonably longish grass, but it must have just been like it was a good feeding ground or something. I'm like, oh, third time, we better start paying attention to it. And unfortunately didn't come across any more. But it's just interesting that you said, like, yeah, literally in the middle of the day, it can be some of the best times for something that I thought was a nocturnal animal.
Yeah. And I think like any animal that you hunt, the more time you spend chasing them, the more you learn about them. And that comes down to every critter in the bush.
Definitely. Yeah, more time you spend out there, the more you get to learn about all of them in general, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, so with the wet weather, there's a laneway surrounded by crop. Like all the country's cropping country or sheep country are surrounded, like my place where I am, and there's a tree line that's just a random tree line runs up between the properties just down the road, and it's sort of just left alone. And I said to the boys, we'll just go up here and we'll try here, you know. And a fortnight ago I was with a mate and we were playing around and tried everywhere in the country that I'd normally try, and it was all wet and just swamped by water. Go to the one sort of harder knob, bit drier, bit more sheltered, and call up 3 in 15 minutes. So it's it all comes down to just paying attention to the finer details to some of it, just to make your hunt that little bit more successful, I suppose.
And if you call one location and get a fox out of it, are you then having to move location, or you'll happily sit there and whistle again if it's like come up pretty quickly?
Definitely call again. My record with my daughter, Amelia, we've had 12 foxes come to one stand, which seems ridiculous. But mind you, they like majority of them were sort of 3/4 grown pups. 3 mature foxes in them 12.
Wow.
The rest were pups. But we didn't move an inch. And one of the best afternoons I've ever had was with Amelia when she was about 12, well, a bit over 12 months old. And it was great. And that was when I just started with the recurve as well. So I shot one that run down and died in the blackberries, never retrieved him. And I missed 4, I think it was. After that,
Wow.
But I was, like I said, I was learning. Even when you're not learning, you still miss. But it's you don't have to move to call more foxes. And the biggest thing is too, like it's amazing. You'll call like one stand, call, nothing. You literally only have to move 100 meters to 200 meters max and call again, and it's amazing how many times you'll then have a fox come in. And it's like, well, that squawk is like, you can hear that 500 metres away. Like if you're standing up on a hill, surely the foxes are coming, but it's amazing just moving that 100 metres. I don't know what convinces them to come have a look, but it
Just
definitely,
close enough.
you just get close enough for them to go, oh, I'm going to go have a look at that. Like,
Are they like pack creatures, kind of like other dogs? Like, do they hang out all together? When you said 12, maybe kind of
as up until sort of 3/4 grown pups today, like that I find they are. Like today we had the 2 together. They're sort of only, they're not even half grown pups, but it's probably half grown pups, not even, I suppose. but old enough, they're out, they're living by themselves, they're not with mum anymore. I've seen them nearly up until sort of 8-9 months old in like 4 or 5 together, and they'll all run along and they'll literally bite each other as they're coming in, like nip at each other and make that little like just a stupid weird little noise that you get to experience that no one else would ever get to experience unless you're there in the moment. And they sort of argue over who's going to get there first, and I've seen that numerous times, especially this time of the year, coming up to sort of December. You'll sort of see that a lot because the pups are sort of starting to find their own. They today they weren't interested in the call at all because they just never heard the call at all ever before. They were too young. They had no idea what it was. Therefore, they just weren't interested.
Yeah.
Which was a great opportunity. Yeah, some would say, oh, well, that's just too easy or whatever, but their natural instinct's still there. Stalking them is no different to stalking any other animal. If you mess up, they're gone. Like,
Definitely.
If they see you, they're gone. If the wind changes, they're gone. And they know exactly what you are if they smell you or they see you. They don't play the game like the older foxes, which would possibly make them harder to hunt because, the older fox hears that call, and if you can fool him for that couple of minutes, you might have an opportunity, whereas them younger ones, they still haven't experienced that in their life, I suppose. So they just...
Maybe even more so, a bit more skittish, right? A bit more curious, but also a bit more skittish because of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's funny how they respond to it.
And so, Grant, you also got a big fox down today.
Yeah.
He's a big boy.
Yeah, probably second biggest fox I've ever shot, actually.
Yeah, when you sent it through, I actually had to ask you. I was like, is that a dog or a fox? Because it was that big in the photo.
Yeah, he's a good sized dog. Like, and he come in fairly cautiously and stuff like that. So yeah, it was good because I have the worst bloody luck in history with like fox calling and stuff. They always come in behind or never come in, and yeah, just this thing come across, and yeah, and he's like, "Hey, fox," and I'm like, "Yep, right, I'm on here," and yeah, the squeaker like stopped, or the black wang, whatever you want to call it, stopped, and just he come in and he stopped and paused, and that little tiny mouth, it'd just get him to come that little bit further, and yeah, he'd come down, and I had the arrow and everything ready to go, and yeah, ducked in behind a bit of a tree in a bush. I come to full draw, and he just slowly started walking in, then just pulled up at, I'd say about 18 metres or something like that, and yeah, I had the pin sitting there ready to go, and yeah, he wasn't going far after that. Like, yeah, Benny got it on video. Absolutely drove him. Like, you couldn't have walked up and placed that arrow better. It just drilled him, and yeah, he barked and huffed and did a bit of a jump and a carry on, and yeah, watched him fall down in sight. So it was probably be up there with one of my best fox hunts today.
So when a fox comes in and you're drawing back, like you just said, obviously you drew back when he was behind a bush. What do you do in the open fields? Like, you're pretty much just waiting for him to not be paying attention, to be looking side to side instead?
While he's sort of head down, just meandering in, sort of take the opportunity to draw. You kind of always, if you can, have something in front of you, whether it's, a couple of tufts of grass or blackberry bush or tree or something like that, just so there's that one point that they're going to intersect with something between you and them in that last maybe 30 metres of the stalk.
Yeah.
Like, when setting up is probably more important than actually doing the call itself, like where your location is for doing it, is probably, along with, all the stuff Benny touched on with weather and things as such. Your location is very important, because you could be in an absolute shit spot, we'll call 10 foxes in, but not be in a position to get a shot away at any of them, because, you're out there sticking out like a set of dog's balls in the open. You've got nowhere to draw, no cover, no nothing. Whereas maybe drop back off the edge of that paddock an extra 10 metres where there's, 4 or 5 trees in front of you. That could be the difference between you getting a draw and getting an arrow away at one, rather than, watching them come in, you draw your bow, make a big movement, they pick up on it and go, no, I'm not hanging around and bail out. Just, yeah. Location, where you set up. Someone told me years ago that's one of the most important things when calling foxes. I think Lonnie might have even mentioned that in a previous podcast with you.
Yeah, definitely. That podcast was great. He gave a lot of really good insights, and yeah, that had a lot of good feedback as well, that podcast. The other thing I just want to mention is usually in the shade as well, right? Like so we've already mentioned have something behind you. Ideally have something between you and where the fox is coming from that's going to intercept them being able to see you. And the other thing is ideally trying to set yourself up in the shade, because if you're in the sun, you stand out like a shiny object. It just doesn't work well.
And that's definitely we forgot to mention that before, but I said to Randy 2 or 3 times this afternoon, I'm like, this spot's we've got to stick in the shade. This spot's going to be no good. We're in the sun. And that comes back around to the weather too. If you know your spots and you know where you're going to call, if you can pick the wind and the location, you set the stage, you draw the picture in your head of that stand before you're even there, where that fox is going to come from. And if you know the shades on that side of the tree and you know the wind's in your face, you go, right, straight away I'm going to that spot because everything's in my favour. I just need that next 10% to go my way and we're on. I reckon, I don't know, probably you can certainly get away with calling foxes with the sunlight on you, no doubt, but if you can have that sun shining over the tree into that fox's eyes when he's coming into you, we all know what it's like looking into the sun. It
gives you every bit of the advantage.
Yeah, you can't see anything. It doesn't matter how much you squint or blink. It doesn't get it. If you can set that up so you know that wind's in your face, you're in the shade, he's running into the sun, looking into the sun, I mean, you can't go wrong, really. It's that's the perfect background, and that's what it comes down to. If you know your hunting spot, you know where you're going, pick your stand, draw the picture before you even go there. If you know the wind's right, the weather's good, that comes down to picking your spot. And I do that. Like, is all I have to hunt where I live is foxes, so I revolve around it. I love hunting anything else, but at the end of the day, we all know what it's like, busy life with kids and everything else. If I can get out for 20 minutes to go call a fox when I can with mates or whatever, myself, I already have that spot picked. I have a million different stands around where I live where I could go call a fox, but it just comes down to the weather on the day, where the wind's going, where the sun is, what it's doing. And I might only have that 20 minutes to go try and call a fox, but everything lines up to go to that stand and try my luck. And 9 times out of 10, if you put everything in your favour in that fact, everything else works out. And some people aren't fortunate enough that you may not know the spot. You walk up to a spot, it's a new spot. You've never been there before. You look at it, you got the wind in your face. You know, you go, yeah, this looks like a good spot. If everything, you draw the picture and you picture where that fox is going to come from before he comes from there, 9 times out of 10 it seems to play out that way for whatever reason. Like you know, it's your instinct telling you that's where he is, and I'm going to try and call him out.
As you develop the understanding of what they are as a critter and where they kind of hang out, like especially with the knowledge you've got, Benny, it would make it a lot easier to be able to visualize it as well. Like, okay, well, if I was a fox, I'd be over here, and I'd probably come up this route and take the easiest path to get to it. And yeah, you just kind of see the way it's going to play out. Yeah,
like cattle pads, they definitely do that. If they're being cunning, they will sneak through grass. They will go through the thickest route. But 9 times out of 10, they're like anyone. You know, we'll all take the easiest route on an easy day when there's no stress. If they're not concerned, they have no question about what they're doing, they will take that easiest route. So if there's a nice opening on the edge of a thicket, 9 times out of 10, they'll come up the edge of it because it's just easier to come up the edge of the opening than it is to go through all the thick crap to get to you. So tracks, roads, fences are great. sort of break for foxes, because 9 times out of 10 there's some sort of fire break on a fence, and if you put a tree, 9 times out of 10 they'll be on the wrong side of the bloody fence. But they will always pick that fence to come to you, because if they're comfortable and they have no question in what they're coming in, this is what I've found. People have different opinions, but they will just get out on that fire break, and then they'll just trot on their way up to a close point to you, and then they'll reassess. And hopefully when they reassess, you're already
ready to rumble.
Yeah.
Do fox skins, do they ever fetch a fee? Like, I know here in Queensland there was a big while, and I think it might even still be a thing, where the dingo skins will fetch a fee. I know that they're a big pest here in Australia. Has that ever been a thing?
Yeah, it definitely was a huge thing for me as a kid. We used to skin every fox we'd get, whether we shot with a rifle or trapped or whatever. It's not as big as it should be. If you ask me, like, you get maybe $10 a skin on average for a good skin. When the skin buyer would come around young and sort of once every 3 to 6 months, or sometimes only once a year, just pending. They come around. That's sort of what you get. So somewhere between $7 and $14. Like $14 was top skin. Back to my uncle back years, like I wasn't even born. He was in the army, and he used to tell me he'd blow them off people's front lawns because he was making more out of shooting foxes than he would in the army for a week's wage. Like, he was getting $40 to $50 a skin back then. Jesus. For foxes, which was huge money. Like I think it was a bundle of smokes and carton of beer was about $7.50 back. Like, this is back what it was like. And he's getting $40 to $50 a fox skin.
That's crazy, isn't it?
No doubt someone will tell me I'm wrong by this, but Uncle Stan never let the truth go in the way of a good story. So, this is his knowledge to me. And as a kid, I listened because I was so interested in it. But either way, I know he was making good money out of these fox skins. And Victoria still has a bounty for just fox scalps. So skin from the back of the ears to the nose, just take the scalp. It's $10. For the fox scalp. And to me, I reckon it's a huge incentive for, like, foxes they are such a cool critter. Like, I have a lot of respect for foxes. But at the same time, they kill so many natives. They are a huge problem with lambing, with natives, with everything. And we're never going to get rid of them. Doesn't matter how many we shoot, we're never going to get rid of them. So putting an incentive out there for people to get out there to do it responsibly and shoot foxes and have some sort of incentive to do it, take the scalp off, get $10 for the scalp. I reckon it should be statewide everywhere because, it's a great idea. We go out for an afternoon, shoot, 3 or 4 foxes, there's $30, $40, bit of drinking silver, or, it might pay for a few arrows or bullets or whatever, but
keeps people going out looking for them. Gives a bit more
that's right, and it's not stupid at the end of the day. It's just something to get people around it, and but they don't have that. They did bring it out in New South Wales, I think, for a short period of time, and then that was the end of it type thing. Whereas I'm pretty sure in Victoria it's year wide. Like they collect them at a certain period of time. I'm not too sure on the timing of things with it, but you just collect your scalps, put them in the freezer, put them wherever you put them for the time being, and then cash them in. And, at the end of the year, you might have 70 or 80 fox scalps. It works out all right. It pays for a couple of hunting trips or,
definitely. So
kids' Christmas presents, whatever.
When you used to do skinning, was it nose to tail, essentially?
Yeah.
Like just along the top half? The top, yeah.
Entire fox. So, from obviously not their feet, but from their ankles, an entire fox skin pegged out. Yeah, that was what you got paid for. So
yeah, wow, there you go. Because I know up in Queensland, for instance, you just had to prove it was a wild dog, for instance. So you just literally you had to get a little bit of the nose, like the whole length of the tail, pretty much. But yeah, from nose to tail, just a strip along the whole top end of the dog, and that was it.
Yeah. That'd be, as I imagine, it'd be like as a bounty type buy. Whereas the local buyers were skin buyers, so they were buying the skins for. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that they were actually wanting the entire skin for what they wanted, but that I haven't been around it or involved in it for years now. I haven't worried about skinning the foxes that I shoot, or it's just simply a vermin control.
Yeah.
I'm a farmhand, so I see their effect with the sheep and lambs and everything else every day. So it's
how many lambs?
It's just part of my job.
How many lambs do you guys lose a year to them, you reckon?
Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. Wow. Yeah.
How big an operation?
No, that's not exaggeration at all. Like, depending on the sheep farming, like size, farming that you're involved in. But even myself, like I had 40 ewes of my own personal ewes as a hobby, and I lost 14 lambs out of them 40 ewes to foxes. So you think of what lambs are worth these days, and it works out to be a lot, especially when you've only got that amount of ewes for your hobby and you're relying on your lambs to make a bit of money just for whatever.
Yeah.
When the foxes go and take a good percentage of it, I was lucky enough and managed to shoot a couple of them with the kids early morning. I'd go up there, and sure enough, they were there every morning. But they weren't shot with a bow; they were shot with the rifle. But I had to make sure that they were taken care of because they were doing too much damage.
Yeah, wow. That's crazy. What about cats? Do you see many cats along your way when you're doing your calls?
Not down here, no. Warren, when I lived at Warren, heaps and heaps of cats, but not so much down here. I don't think I've even called a cat down here. Geez, it's going to be you're getting me excited just thinking about it the day that a cat's come trotting in.
What about your block, Randy?
Have
you seen cats there at your block?
Sorry?
Have you seen cats at your block, Randy?
I think I've seen 2 cats. I've seen the same black cat probably 6 or 7 times, and for a bit of a stint there, I made a bit of a rule not to shoot the cat if it was around camp because we had a real bad mouse problem there for a long time, and seen the cat sort of turn up and that mouse problem thinned out a bit, so I was like, well, probably don't shoot him if he's hanging around, like shoot the foxes and whatnot, but I mean, if the cat's eating a heap of mice and there's a shitload of them, he's probably not really bothering too many other animals. It's not the most conservationist way of looking at it, but it worked really good because the mice weren't like getting into camp and fucking everything up there like they do. So
Makes sense indeed. Is there anything we missed on the hunt that you guys went through today?
No, I don't think so. A few selfies while I was trying to video your fox.
Yeah, Benny's not the most up-to-date with technology. The video of me fox, the first 3 minutes, is Ben with a selfie trying to work out how to spin the camera around. So we might even just leak the full unedited version
Definitely do.
There.
There'll be a few get a laugh out of that, I reckon. Anyway.
It's a pretty good... it's raw footage at its finest. It's probably the best way to explain that because I didn't even know he was recording. And, it's exactly in the moment, exactly how it went down. There was no script. There was no nothing there. It was just pure.
It's the best way to have it, right? So, unfortunately, sometimes the social media doesn't show that side of it. So it is definitely nice when it does unfold that way. But I am going to call it because I've got a pretty early start in the morning. So what we will do is actually, while we're on the socials, what are the social handles of you 3 fine-looking gentlemen? Let's go Benny first.
God damn it, I don't even know what my Instagram name is.
Benny underscore Fensom.
There you go.
There we
You
go.
got it. Benny underscore Fensom.
Great. Grant. Grant's is Grant underscore Randy underscore Rand. Cam.
Yeah, I was going to say that didn't appear too many times.
What's yours, Cam?
Is Cameron underscore Cambo underscore Rand.
Real. Done and done. Well, boys, thank you. Thank you for filling in for me. It worked out really well. And actually, I thoroughly enjoyed that. Foxes are something that I actually wrote. So every year, me and my wife on New Year's Day will go and write down our goals. And I've got like business goals I'm always chasing, but then I've always got these archery goals. And last year, I think it was this year, I can't even remember, but my archery goal was to get a fallow deer, to get a big boar, and to get a fox down. And I knocked 2 of those over at your block, Randy. And so I've still been chasing the fox. And even if it pushes over to next year, it's something I'm definitely going to start to try target a little bit more. It's something I'm excited to hunt.
Well, mate, these boys aren't afraid to just turn up and surprise me. So jump on the plane and come down. I reckon we can make it happen.
Sounds bloody good to me. Thanks, boys. I appreciate it.
Thanks, mate.
Mate. Thanks for having us again.
That wraps up this week's episode. Thank you so much for joining us, team. If you did have any topics, questions, or you wanted to suggest a guest for Becoming a Bowhunter, you can send me an email at matty@becomingabowhunter.com. If you are enjoying the show or you've enjoyed in particular episodes, please do me a solid and share it around with your friends. If you are not already, please hit the subscribe button, as the more subscribers we get, the higher the podcast gets ranked, and that definitely helps out for showing it to other individuals. If you are not already following me on Instagram, it's at becomingabowhunter.podcast, and on YouTube, it's Becoming a Bowhunter. Get out, team, fling some arrows, get that practice in, and walk those yards in the paddocks until you find those critters. That is it for now, but not the last time that you'll hear from Becoming a Bowhunter.